Good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening, or good night. This is Jen at Jen's Arty Inclinations, a place to create, share, and play.
Hello everyone. So this is my Defemerembra journal, and Defemerembra is hosted by Louise Heinzel and also by Barbara over at 49 Dragonflies. And the prompt list is out, and today is altered playing cards and antique keys. So look, I had a lot of fun with this, grabbed a few bits and bobs together and just started playing away. So look, the first thing I did was I cut out the background on this picture playing card. It's a queen of diamonds or a queen of hearts. And what I wanted was a bit of a see-through effect. Now, initially, I was going to actually put this through a hole in the paper itself, but I ended up doing something slightly different with a gatefold. You'll see that all sort of come together. Now, when I'm cutting out, I'm using a really pointy scalpel to cut it out with. I'm not being too accurate, so I'm cutting off bits that I'm finding a bit hard to cut around. There you go, Queen of Diamonds. You can see the diamond there. You know, just finessing the last little bits. I do find it's easier if you move your paper and try and keep your knife on the page if you're fussy cutting with a knife. So that just means that when you get corners, you'll find you'll get a better corner usually if you can try and turn your page. So as long as you're putting the point of your knife in, you will be able to spin it around. You know, I've tried those ones that you see advertised that are like pens and so forth, and I've got one of those, but I find them harder. I find the way that they spin around, it doesn't give me enough stability, so I do prefer an old-fashioned blade. So as you can see, I didn't bother cutting around the hand holding the little flower, even though I'm sure that's extremely important to the, you know, vintage traditional design. I just tried to cut as bigger lines as what I possibly could. So could certainly cut the little detail on that flower, and then you may need to lift your knife a little bit. But this way I could just kind of sweep around. So now we're just doing the last little bit here, popping it out so that there you are, you've got it all. So look, I popped a card behind it to see what that would look like, because that was what I was sort of originally thinking. And then I liked this tracing paper, so I sort of popped it aside for a moment just to kind of think about it. So now I'm doing my gatefold. Just tore a piece of cardstock that I had in half. I'm roughing up the edges with, you know, the side of my ruler, inking it up, just grunging it up a little bit so that, you know, it all felt a bit nicer. Obviously inking my card as well, as you can see. Now, what I wanted to do was do what I'm saying is a gatefold. So that's where you fold the outer edges into the centre. So that's why I'm sort of lining it up on my, on my mat here, using those little squares to get it into the centre. So that way, see, it opens like a gate, you know, those double fold gates that you've got. So yeah, that's why we call it a gatefold. So then I went back to my actual playing card. So what I've done is I've put double-sided tape all around it, because that will do a lovely hold on the tracing paper. And then I cut a piece of tracing paper to size, just using the card as my outline, and I stuck it together. So, you know, just trimming up the sides to make sure it's all nice and flush around the edge. Voila. All right, so the next thing was playing about with the front of that gatefold. So here, with just one of the scraps, I punched both ends with this tab stamp, and then I cut it down, and what I'm left with is this little piece that has rounded edges and a little hole on both sides. So I inked that to give it, you know, a bit of a look, and I have this little keyhole that I'm going to put on top of it. Here, with these little pieces that I'm putting over the front of the gatefold, I just did some lines, inking through one of those lined stencils that I had, and that kind of looks like, you know, wood planks or a wooden gate or something like that. You got to squint your eyes a lot, but you get the gist. And then I can just pop that little keyhole across. So we've got playing card and vintage key. I do actually use a key in a minute, but we've got the keyhole that the vintage key goes in. See, every piece kind of tells you a bit of a story. So I just felt like rather than having that on its own, just having it on that little backing piece just sort of made it feel more finished and more complete. Inside the gatefold, I had that other sheet of paper that I put on as a backing because originally I was going to do a hole in the middle, decided against it, so, just covered it up. And then on the inside, I did some little note pages on those little open flaps because it's always nice to add journaling space. I love adding journaling space. Use those same lined, or that same lined stencil just to ink through some lines onto those little pages, and that just indicates that they are there for notes. Using my glue sticks so that they, stick down all the way around, nice and flat. Now at this stage, because I've abandoned my original idea of having a hole through the page and through the gatefold with the card on and changed it all, I'm like, well, what am I going to do with the card now? So that's the funny thing, that it kind of told me itself what it wanted to do. So, it all worked out. So what I decided in the end was I'd put the card that I had the cutouts in, I'd use that as a little pocket, and then a second card that I had that I've also just inked around the edges, I'm just using that as like a key tag so that it holds the vintage key that I'm going to use. Now, I did think of putting a journaling spot on the back of it so that it was a bit more like a journaling card, but I didn't. So I literally had this scrap that I had torn off the edge of a piece of calico. That ended up working out beautifully to be a holder for the key. I then simply tied a knot and I put the key on using a bulb pin, so basically a safety pin, and I just used that as a link to put the key onto the card. So there you go, that sort of adds a little bit of interest. So now all I need to do is paste in my little pocket and then put it into my book. So I have just put glue on two edges of the little card that I did the cutout with. I kind of love this as a pocket because when I pop the key tag in it, you can actually see through those little windows, and so you get that hint of that sort of 3D effect, which is, a bit cool, really. So now it's time just to paste it into my book. So I loved it on the pages that I had here. I thought, should I put it on a plainer page? But I really liked it on these pages. They were jelly prints, and I thought, the red tones in that really jumped out off the background. So, definitely wanted to use them. So then I just glued it down. You can see that white in the middle was what I'd originally thought. I was going to have a, window all through the page. But yeah, glued it down. No one will ever know that that's what I did. And then that's the piece all finished. This was the first time I was gluing over the pages as well. These are pages that I've sewn over. And so, I'm just interested to find out how I'll work with these and what I'll do. I had quite a bit of fun, so I'll try and keep up with putting out my videos daily. Not quite sure how I'll go this year. It's a little bit more hectic than normal. But this first one, your playing card with a vintage key. So inside you've got the playing card, got the little vintage key off the other playing card, and it's all in a lovely little gatefold. So, it's like a secret garden that you open up with your old key. And so there we are. There is the little finished piece. Bit of fun. It's great just to kind of think outside the box with these prompts and just play and just do as much as you like. I always say no pressure. So, and I love watching what Louise and Barbara do. I can't wait to see what they do. So make sure you go and check out their channels. Their links are all in the description below. And take care, everyone. I'll see you soon. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy!